Hi everyone, I am Brittany, the Cosmic Lunar Soul. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome back to all of my subscribers. So today we are going to be doing the 111 pick a card. This is a collaboration, and let me read off who we have. We have Celeste Simone Tarot, Tanya Pizzolata, Shimmering Tarot, Your Intuitive Bestie, Mystic Star Magic, and of course, last but not least, V Love and Tarot. So I will make sure to put all of their information in the description box and all of the links to the other videos. So if you want a deeper, more in-depth reading for your 111 message, then go ahead and check them out after your pick a card. All right, I have three piles here, and this reading is all about the 111 portal for 2023. This is for 111. This is about new beginnings and creations. This is all going to be about the journey of self throughout the year. So this is where we're going to see where you can tap into things such as confidence, inner strength, letting go of the ego, that kind of stuff. We're going to see what comes to light. So we have three piles. Go ahead, take a nice deep breath, focus on your breathing, close your eyes if you want to. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes and pick your deck. So if you need a little more time, this is your last chance to pause. Otherwise, let's get into deck number 1. Hello, pile number 1. All right, you chose the crow's foot here, so I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. If you have never seen my pick a cards before, I like to save the tarot for last. So let's go ahead and look at our other messages. This is going to be a little bit of our shadow self, shadow work kind of message. So I'm also going to put that off to the side, and let's see what the cards have for us. So I'll make sure to put all of the information for the decks in the description. So our first card, we have abundance. So I feel like the journey of self is all about, for you, for pile 1, is all about finding that abundance within your life, finding that abundance within yourself. This is going to be more of a nourishing fulfillment kind of thing and less of a necessarily like financial push. This is going to be more so of finding the things that make you happy. I really like that there's so much nature here starting off the year, trying to find your footing and find that groundedness so you have a really strong foundation going forward. Next we have assessing. I'm going to move this over a little. These cards are a little shiny. So, oh, and just so you know, this was the Hunter moon. This is the first quarter moon. So these are all about bringing things into your life. These are about like gaining that additional thing. So in assessing, as you go through, this theme of abundance, you need to assess what it is that will make you feel abundant, that makes you feel fulfilled. And this, I really like how she's kind of in space surveying the space around her, but looking off into the distance. So this is about having the bigger picture in mind and keeping the big goals in the back of your mind as you go through this process, as you go through the year. A lot of times as we go through the year, we make small goals, but you have to remember to also stay on track towards the bigger goals. Don't get distracted, really. And for your last card, you have release. I'm going to move my lights a little bit. Okay. So for release, this is saying like if you're going to start to bring in the good, you need to release the things that are no longer serving you, the things that are, whatever bad habits you are deciding to leave in 2022 that you don't want to bring into 2023 with you. I like that despite that, she's still facing forward, right? So she's still moving forward, still pushing towards the things that she wants, but she knows that she needs to let go of certain things in order for that to happen. Let's see what else we have. Oh, there's only 2 here. I meant to pull 3, but that's okay. That means that's all your messages needed. We have Cosmic Womb. This is divine feminine. So part of finding yourself, the journey of self, is tapping into that feminine. Now, that does not mean if you are a guy, that does not mean this doesn't relate to you. Tapping into that divine feminine can mean a lot of things. Just feeling that softer side of yourself, allowing yourself to tap into that more intuitive, emotionally connected side. Maybe that's something that you have just not been very good at, or something you have to push away because of the things that were going on in your life. This is the time that you start to open up, tap back into that nurturing side of yourself. This can also suggest that you need to nurture yourself as you are discovering yourself, right? So, as you go through this journey here, you have to remember that you need to take care of yourself. You need to be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself. And then here we have Feast of Plenty. This card is about accepting the choices you've made and accepting the consequences that come of them. So sometimes, we're in a phase in our life where we're like, wow, I wish I had really done things differently, but there's no reason to hold on to that because you already made that choice. That choice is set and you're living in the consequence. All you can do is let that consequence cycle and you now know not to do those things again. But this can also be good too. So if we're talking about bringing abundance in, releasing the things that no longer serve us, you need to make those decisions for yourself. What are the good and what are the bad? So that way you can decide. And this is where that assessing comes in, right? You really need to take time to plan this out, plan this journey. This might be a good thing to do, to keep like a little journal of the stuff that you're coming up with, the stuff that you're wanting to release. You can even do little releasing rituals as you start to discover the habits or the parts about yourself, the shadow parts of yourself that you want to let go of. So you just have to understand though, when you do these things, whether good or bad, they are going to have consequences and you're going to have to be okay with that. That means that there's these changes that are coming to light, or going to affect you or affect the people around you. And it is what it is, Here we have from our other deck, Miracles. We have the Rainbow Waterfall. I love this for a multitude of reasons. I'll bring it closer to the camera so you can see. One of the things I associate butterflies with are like ancestors or guides, our spiritual team in a kind of way. So I feel like this is saying, as you go through this, as you are reassessing and processing and pushing forward and releasing these things, you have your spiritual team with you. And don't take this literally, like miracles are going to happen. I think this is just saying, relish in the things and the support that you have, because having that is a miracle in and of itself. So don't expect that things are just going to happen for you. It's not like a movie where like you make a wish. It's not like Bruce Almighty, right? Where you make a wish and God like says yes in an email and your wish comes true. You still have to put in the work. And I mentioned these butterflies remind me of your spiritual team, right? And this card is your spiritual garden of spring. This card is about activation. Spring is when things start to blossom. So I feel like this is a whole journey where this is saying, we're finding that foundation, we're finding that rooting and footing. And then after you decide what you're going to do, you have to actually do it. So remember, I told you that the miracles, don't take that literally. You still have to put in that work. You still have to feed that garden, feed the self, put in the good that you are replacing the negative with. So, and I think that these two cards together is just a sign that if you have a spiritual team, so if you work with your ancestors, if it's just like magic in general, whatever that means to you, rely on them, because I think they have your back in this, and it seems like they want you to know that. Ooh, and then the last card we have is Maple Spirit, Generosity. I really love this card. It's very reminiscent of this first card here. So it's like everything's coming full circle. And I just think that's so beautiful. So as you do this, you know, I told you, you have your spiritual team, you have these folks that have your back. I think be generous to them, you know, show your generosity, but also show generosity to yourself. So I mentioned here with the divine feminine that this is a time where you need to start tapping into that emotional side of yourself, the more nurturing side of yourself. Be generous with yourself as well. So your message for your 111 message is all about, I want to say, releasing, healing, and growing. That's what this looks like. You have a lot of really strong rooted trees here. And then you also seem to have like this whole cycle of assess and release that I really like. So with that being said, let's see what your shadow message is. Let's see here. We have third eye blind. So this is a warning about letting these self-doubts cloud your judgment. And this is where a mixture of, you know, the choices and consequences and assessing come in. So this self-doubt can make you really choose the wrong things for yourself. It means you're ignoring your intuition, and we don't want to do that. You know, you have a team here that's supporting you. You have the tools that you need in this, you know, assessing release kind of thing and activation thing that you are going through. So be careful not to fall into the old habits of doubting yourself and hindering yourself and just not letting yourself move forward and grow. Let's see what else we have. We have hidden paths. So I think this is saying that if you feel like you've been on this journey, maybe this is something that you are continuing from 2022, you didn't quite go down a path that is waiting for you, if that makes sense. So what I mean is you might be on a really good path, but there might be better options out there. So this is where that assessing really comes into play, because what is being hidden from you that it will help you in finding that abundance in your life? What are you not seeing? So this is part of, you know, if you're ignoring your intuition, or this warning here where you fall into that self-doubt, you're going to start to miss out on opportunities. You're not going to notice these really good things that are actually coming into your life. And then your last shadow message is the white oak. This is the card of healing and enduring and being versatile. So I really like the idea of being versatile, because especially with this hidden path, if you've been on a path, then perhaps it's time to switch it up a little bit. So if you start to feel stagnant, or if you start to feel like, hey, this isn't working anymore, you start to slip into that self-doubt, just adapt, you know, change it up a little bit. And this is also talking about, you know, oaks are really strong trees, and they're known for their like power and their age, and a lot of times they can represent wisdom. So just rely on that wisdom, rely on that experience, rely on the different experiences you've had. And you just keep enduring through this. So this is going to be an ever-changing, ever-growing process, and you just have to trust in that journey, and you know, just trust that things are going the way that they should. And by that I mean rely on your intuition. You know how things should go. So I have tarot cards here. I'm going to pull these first. These are they're all more or less the same. I just wanted to pull some extras. So we have the Seven of Wands. We have the Emperor. And then we have the Hermit in reverse. So I'm going to pull these three, talk through it, and then I'll pull the other three. But in the center of this here, we have the Emperor. And I really just like how relaxed this Emperor is. The Emperors in general are about, you know, finding that stability uh, this kind of is the other side of the coin of the divine feminine here. So while this is saying tap into that femininity, this is saying, hey, find that divine masculine and tap into that as well. So while here we're finding that nurturing, more emotionally supportive side of ourselves, this we're finding that structure, that that leader in us. So where is it that we can find that? You know, how can we become the leader in whatever it is we want to do? And this could just be a sign of, you know, taking control of your own life. So this is like a good control that's happening here with this emperor. And then flanking the emperor, we have the Seven of Wands and the Hermit in reverse. So I feel like this is saying, you know, be careful about isolating yourself during this process. You know, when you're going through these things, a lot of times, you know, you tend to accidentally shut people out. Don't do that. The Hermit in reverse is really the key to suggesting not to do that. But then we have on the other side the Seven of Wands. So traditionally, the Seven of Wands is like the card. There's a little bit of challenge that's happening externally, but and sometimes there's an air of defense and struggle. But in this one, this is more so, I feel, you know, protecting your peace from those struggles. So this is finding that zen, I feel like. And you see these two people are so really relaxed, really calm. They're kind of in their own peace. The emperor here is much more pensive. She is much more meditative, but here this is saying, you know, and she's in her little bubble where she feels protected. So this is saying, you know, find your own protection within yourself, but be careful not to let that isolate you. So this is finding ways to protect yourself, but don't put up walls. There's a difference, okay? So let's pull the last few. We have the Seven of Wands again in reverse. We have the Ace of Cups in reverse, and then we have the King of Cups. So that's so interesting that we have the Seven of Wands again. Actually, this feels very much like a similar message. The difference is, I feel like this is like your message about how to navigate the external, and this is how to navigate emotionally. So we have, again, Seven of Wands in reverse, right? So upright here, I was saying this is like protect your energy kind of thing. And then here in reverse, yeah, this is more about not letting yourself feel, oh, and I love that the cards here are together. This ignoring and third eye blind with the Seven of Wands in reverse. Again, is that warning not to let yourself give in to feeling inferior, right? And feeling like you have been beat down by the challenges around you. Don't let yourself give in to judgment, give in to weakness, stuff like that. But again, be careful in doing so and protecting your energy. Don't let yourself put up walls and become isolated. That's not going to serve you. That's going to be part of your release. Don't release that kind of energy. This is also saying that perhaps this is not the time to take on new relationships, especially, you know, like really emotional relationships. This is the time for yourself. Give yourself that time to grow and change and transform and transition, because, you know, I think this is saying like you need to work on yourself so that way you can tap into this King of Cups energy. You want to really embrace that thoughtful yet emotionally intelligent side of yourself. Find that balance, find that generosity, you know, that we have here, because kings, especially the King of Cups, is very generous archetype. And then with the king, you want to embrace that strength, similar to the emperor here, embrace that strength, but more so emotionally, whereas this one is more structurally. So this is more how the external is affecting you and you affect it, whereas this one is more internal. So this is your journey. This is your 111 message, pile one. Comment below. Let me know how this resonates with you. Let me know what your journey is for 2023. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you want a more in-depth reading, go ahead and check out the lovelies in the collab this month for just more in-depth reading. All right, bye pile one. Hi pile two. All right, you picked pile two. You picked this lovely spoon here. Let's see what your message is. So if you have seen my pick a cards, you know I like to save the tarot cards for the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put them off to the side. This is going to be your shadow self, shadow work kind of message. So I'm going to put that off to the side. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I will make sure to put all of the decks that I'm using in the description as well. Oh, and right off the bat, I know these are a little shiny, so I'll bring it up close. We have the dark moon. This is the void. The void can mean a lot of things. The void could be about depression, but it could also be a reset. It could be about release. It could be sucking things in. The void is a really like blank slate. So let's go ahead and see what kind of other things we have around the void. We have the waning gibbous. This is, oh, and that's the dark moon. This deck, these three cards are going to be moon based. So this is the waning gibbous. This is about wisdom. It's very interesting that this is the waning phase of the moon, but the key word here is wisdom, because usually during waning, we talk about the things that you want to get rid of, right? So with this void, it's almost like saying, you know, maybe you've been sucked into something and you need to find ways to release that, kind of energy that you're just hovering in right now, and you need to release that in order to open up the path to finding wisdom. A lot of times letting go of things and being able to clear one's mind is a way to really start to understand other things that were not clear before. And then we have the supermoon. You have two. So the supermoon, the void, that's kind of like the major arcana equivalent in this deck. This is about attraction. So you have like so much going on here. This journey of self is going to be very important, it seems. It seems like this is going to be like a major year for you. So this card, the supermoon, is about attraction, and it almost opposes a little bit this waning gibbous, right? So we're releasing energy, but I think what it is at the core of it, we're trying to bring in this wisdom. I think this year is going to be about growing that, becoming more wise and more experienced. Let's see what this deck has for us. We have resourcefulness. This is the horned cactus. Very interesting. I feel like you guys, pile two, you're on a very like tumultuous journey right now, because your messages are very direct but in opposition of each other. So it's almost like you're being pulled. So we have this horned cactus, right? So this is something you think of as very prickly, something that if you touch it, you might get hurt. But this is a card of resourcefulness. So while you're going through this might be something really painful for you. This might be something that has been weighing on you. Something's really hard, but you need to be resourceful. You need to push through it, and you need to keep moving forward. So then over here we have the we have the Heart Home. This card is compassion. So, as we are being pulled in a lot of directions, being given opposing messages, sometimes things are confusing, you can become hard on yourself. And this card is saying, like, don't lose that compassionate side of you. You might be going through a hard time, but this is not the time to um this is not the time to harden yourself, right? Compassion can really help you through this process. And I really like too that if you look at this too, everything is very, very different from each other. There's no continuity here. So I feel like you have a lot of different things that are going to be going on um, for the year. And then last we have, I say last, but last out of this cluster, we have closing doors, which is completion. That kind of goes back to this waning gibbous a little bit, right? I feel like this will be a complete journey for you, but it's going to be a lot of complete journeys. So this is going to be from what I'm seeing already, what I'm seeing right now is this is about releasing the things permanently and closing the door behind them. So this is about not revisiting things that are no longer good for you. So if you have been in a cycle with someone or something that has just constantly been toxic and you have never fully closed that door on that thing, this is the time to do it. This year, this 111 message is about shutting that stuff off. Here we get into like our forest message. These are going to be more nature based. This is the wood nymph. This is about beauty. And I feel like, if you've been dealing with prickly situations and, kind of in this really dark, stagnant place for a while, this is the time as you close these doors, you tap into that compassion, find the beauty in yourself. So find that inner beauty, that the things that allow you to see the beauty in the world as well, and bring that into yourself. And I think this is too, like, seeing these people, there aren't many people being portrayed here. We have people here, but they're all singular. This is the first card that you have that shows multiple people around you. So I feel like if you have been in this cycle where you might be having trouble, building a community, building that group, that core group that you have, that's going to be part of this. Find the beauty, find the people around you that really are just going to help you and be there for you. Find that good group, that core group. Here we have guardians of the land. This is protection. As we do this, so we start to move out of people again. We no longer have people in this. So while this is going to be something that's important, I don't think that it's going to be the main thing, finding that group. I think that'll be something that will end up happening through this journey, but I don't think that it should necessarily be a goal. I just think that this is part of being able to close certain doors and open up others, is finding the beauty in other people, and finding that beauty in oneself. So here in this card of Guardians of the Land, this is protection. I feel like this is saying that, I take this card very literally, that you have people that are watching over you. You have some spiritual team watching over you, whether that be, God, a God, gods, spirit guides, ancestors, whatever. If you just feel the universe has your back, whatever you feel is that energy, I think that this is saying that you are protected. So this is a hard journey to go through. So you do have that energy that is just watching your back. And I like this. Let me pull this up closer for you guys. See the shadow here of this deer. I think that this is saying, like, you know, they're always in the shadows watching. You might not always feel them, but you know that they have your back, and you should just find comfort in that. And then we have our last card. We have Pine Spirit, and this is purification. So this kind of falls into that, like, um that compassion and closing doors kind of thing, where you are tapping in, you're letting go and closing off the doors to things that were like toxic and bad for you, and opening yourself up to feeling more compassion and whatnot. And this is where you can start from scratch in some degree. This is where you have this clean slate. You feel like you have been purified by the process of letting go, closing doors, and being able to start over. And then this is your shadow message. It's so interesting how a lot of this is really, there are no people or only one person in this, and I feel like I don't get that very often. So here we have your first shadow message. We have the raven and the wolf. So this goes back to these two things, in my opinion, right? But I think it relies more on this, the guardians part of this, where this is where you find alliance and combined efforts. So I think that this is saying, like, you know, combine your efforts with your spiritual team and work towards the same things. But then also, so this is more the spiritual side, but then also find that companion that can help you through this. Find that the companion or companions that can help you through this. So while I think in this aspect the raven is representing that spiritual team, there's still the other wolf in this card. So who is that other person or persons that can be a part of this journey with you? Here we have setting suns. This goes back to the void and the wisdom card here. This is a card that makes me think that you've been suffering in silence for a while, and the void with this card, the void also, I've settled on the void also settle, meaning that as well, where you put on a strong front, but perhaps you've been really just holding these things in. Going back to this, I feel like this is saying, you know, maybe it's time that you no longer did that. I really think that shadow work is going to be an important part of this journey. And a lot of times people don't realize, but therapy is shadow work. It's just the mundane version of that. It's literally the same exact thing. It's just having a person who is, you know, qualified to help you through it, and you don't have to do it on your own. So that is another method of, you know, combined efforts. So help tackle that depression, any habits that have really just been holding you down and just really beating you down lately. Find ways to release that, close that door, but I think you need the help of someone to do it. Here we have earthing, which is another word for like grounding, centering, connection. This is your first card of really being one with the earth, right? So this card is saying, as you go through this process, you should make it a goal to ground yourself, center yourself. Centering is really going to help with this, like, this depression and suffering card. But again, you don't necessarily have to do it alone. But I think this is just finding ways to connect with the earth, finding ways to expel some of this energy, or just, you know, what are these emotions into the earth, and let it help you reset. All right, so we have 6 tarot cards. I'm going to start with this bunch here. We have the Two of Cups in reverse. We have the Knight of Swords, And then we have the Magician in reverse. So I think that, this is not going to be a period where, I think this is going to be a period where you let go of certain relationships, where you might have, it's a very conflicting reading. It's a lot going on here, pile two, but it feels very heavy too. But this is where you start to let go of relationships. It goes back to the closing doors. I kind of mentioned it earlier. So it conflicts a little bit with what I said with the wood nymph, right? In a way, right? You're letting people go while I'm also telling you find people. So that's sometimes hard to do in combination together. So I would say maybe, when you, and I mentioned it, okay, makes sense. I mentioned it a little bit with this wisdom. When you let go of certain things or certain people, it starts to open your eyes to the things that you deserve. You become more wise when you seek people out. So when you do that, you start to find the correct beauty in people, and then you can, even though you're letting go of these relationships, you can start to just push towards better things, So this Knight of Swords, even though there's a bit of a warning with the Knight of Swords, but what I like is that this is the period to start pushing for it, right? There's, in a lot of this, because you don't have many people here, there's not a lot of movement. So I like seeing that here. And this is where you start pushing towards new ideas. I will warn, though, not to be too brash in the decisions you make. That's where this wisdom comes into play. This wisdom is balancing out this Knight of Swords a little bit. So, while he's running forward, obviously running to his motorcycle, be careful that you don't just take off, right? You still need direction in things. And I think that, while I like seeing the movement in the Knight of Swords, I just want to make sure that movement is directed in the right way. That's also portrayed in this Magician in reverse. Upright, there's a lot of focus and skill and direction, but in reverse, there's a lack of planning. There's a lack of direction. They just kind of like throw things together that ends up counteracting the power that they could be putting into things. So this is a warning about not rushing into things, not rushing through things even, you have to just take these baby steps as you're going through whatever it is you're going through, pile two. All right, last set of cards. We have, this is actually a specialty card in this deck. This is called Apathy. We have the King of Swords, and then we have the Knight of Wands. So we're ending this with more movement, but I'm going to move this card just so you can see this. This Apathy card is very much mirroring this Setting Sun card. And I'm going to pull it up close too so you can see. This reinforces my idea that you are suffering in silence and suffering alone. And the goal, I think I'm going to go ahead now and summarize the goal for this 111 message for 2023 is to no longer allow yourself to do that. Don't let yourself continue to suffer in silence. Don't let yourself continue to suffer in isolation either. Find people that can help you. Therapist, good friends, whatever that may be. So I mentioned before with the Knight of Swords that I like that there's some movement here. I like that finally there's some sort of direction that's happening, but the warning was that, the Knight of Swords can be a little directionless. But here with the King of Swords, this is where you're finally starting to allow yourself to find that strength and use that intellect that I know you have to find balance, right? To really find that mental clarity, that mental balance. So a lot of inner strength is happening here. Um, on the other side, we have the Knight of Wands. So while the Knight of Wands can be um, a little, what's the word? Rash, a little rash. And that's not the word I'm looking for, but I can't think of words right now. Impulsive is the word I'm looking for. They can be a little impulsive. And then paired with this King of Wands here, you want to be careful not to be explosive either. Find that balance of that air energy where you start to build communication. You're starting to invite that, like I said before, that mental clarity. But then over here with the fiery impulses of the knights and that fiery essence of the wands, that you're not exploding, but you're fueling yourself. That's where you want, that's the balance you want to find. So, and I think having that King of Swords, who is very thoughtful but intelligent and sharp as a whip, that kind of thing. You're using that intelligence, that wisdom, to find the balance between these two, right? So you're not just exploding on people. But the good thing about the Knight of Wands is there's this energy here. So you're trying to find this energy. I love how we are ending with this high energy card, this fire on fire card, and we started with this stagnant, very quiet and subdued and almost just oppressive void card here. So this is saying find those passions, find things to be passionate about. This is in the journey of self. What are you passionate about? Where can you be creative? What gives you energy? What makes you feel determined, right? So that's what this is all about. All right, pile 2. I feel like that was really heavy. So let me know in the comments how you're feeling. Also, if you enjoyed this message, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you would like a more in-depth reading, go ahead and check out the other lovelies in the collab. All right, see you next time. Bye, pile 2. Hi, pile 3. All right, last but certainly not least, you picked the pendulum here. So let's go ahead and set this off to the side. If you've seen my pick of cards before, you know that I do the tarot cards last. So I'm going to go ahead and set them off to the side. This is going to be our shadow self, shadow work kind of message. So I'm also going to set that to the side. And let's go ahead and find out what our 111 Journey of Self message is. So I will make sure to put all of the decks that I'm using in the description box as well. All right, our first message here is peace. I feel like this is going to be the journey of finding that peace. So right now, your journey of self, you need to find that peace this is also the waning crescent, right? So this is letting go of those unpeaceful things so you can find that peace in your life. So, find the things that allow you to finally clear your mind, finally feel like they're not burdening you. This person they just look so unbothered, so calm and relaxed in their self, in their moment right here. So I think that this is going to be about finding that. This is the Queen of the Moon. This is like a specialty card in a tarot deck. It's similar to like a major arcana, but a little bit more special and unique than that. I really like that this card is sovereignty. So this Journey of Self is literally about taking back yourself, finding yourself, and being unapologetic about yourself. So this is like saying that you are going to take ownership and leadership of yourself, and you're not going to be sorry about it. And then we have, for the final message with this bunch, we have the waning waxing crescent. So here we had the waning crescent 5, and here we have the waxing crescent 5. So it's almost like going through a full cycle. And this card is nourishment. So you find that peace, you become the, your own queen or king, I don't discriminate. And that is going to help you feel renewed and just nourished and fulfilled. I feel like this is more about just you. I know the journey itself is about you, but a lot of times in some of the other messages, they were more so about like letting go of things that were externally affecting them, or bringing in things from the external inward. But this, I feel like this is all about you and, what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled. Here we have, we're going into the next cluster of cards. We have Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. So this is saying, in this journey of self, where do you feel like you've been the most stagnant? Where do you feel like you've been just lingering? And put some action, put some energy into it. Find ways to just, get moving a little bit. And the thing too about the Dust Devil is it moves in the direction of the wind. So it's not aimless. It's just goes with the flow kind of thing. So this isn't like, take time to plan this out. Just do something for yourself, whatever that might mean. So as I'm describing this, something is probably coming to your mind. Go ahead and do that. Of course, as long as it's legal and safe. Here we have, and this goes well together. I really like the flow of this. So we have the Horseman, Herald of Change. This has very much night energy for me. I feel like this, both of these do. Both of these kind of give me two different phases of the night, but this very much feels very night energy, where very Knight of Wands energy. So you're pushing forward. You are, finding that you're not even finding it, right? You started to go with the flow here, and now you're accepting those changes that this is bringing about. It's almost like you're rushing towards them. You're rushing to accept those changes. So you are welcoming them in with open arms. And then here we have let's see if I can squeeze this here. I'm going to put this over here. Here we have the Eyes of the Eagle. So rising above the fray. They're like the same exact card. But this one is more so this one's saying, find your peace. This one is saying make a conscious effort to rise above the things that are affecting your peace. So that is how you get to this. And the thing about eyes in general, they are oftentimes associated with wisdom, like opening up that third eye, being intuitive. So this is where that intuition is going to come into play. Knowing when to pick your battles, knowing when to just, when they go low, we go high kind of thing. Here in our next bundle, we have Wise Woman of the Grove, and this is Grace. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I love her. She reminds me of my grandma. This card makes me happy and sad at the same time. But this is like saying, be gracious and graceful and just find that grace within yourself, and how can you open yourself up? And this is all, I think, all internal. This is really all about you. This is not opening yourself up to other people. This is opening yourself up to yourself. So how can you open yourself up? How can you find that grace and find that just feeling like you are tapping into that wise woman energy? Here we have the Foggy Bog. This is patience, the card of patience. I think this is a crane. I don't know my birds. But you have this crane here. I'm just gonna go with a crane. Uh, this card is about, waiting for your moment. So finding that time to rise above it. You've started to go with the flow, right? And I told you that this isn't aimless, but it's also just you're not overly structuring how you go about this stuff. And when the changes come, you welcome them in. That's going to take a little patience, right? So I told you this kind of has Knight of Wands energy going on. The Knight of Wands can be a very impatient and rash kind of knight. So this is saying don't be that way. Just let this happen how it's going to happen. Wait for your moment, wait for that time to come, and when it does come, welcome it in. Our last card is flexibility. They go hand in hand. I feel like I don't really need to explain too much on that. I don't need to harp on it, but go with the flow, be flexible, wait for your moment, and then welcome it in when it comes. I feel like very straightforward and to the point. So let's go on to our shadow message. Here we have spring rain. It seems like a really, like at first glance, it seems like a really wet and soggy, depressive card, but it's really about, spring rains are heralding in, I'm just going to say it. April showers bring May flowers, right? So it's heralding in these changes. It's like cleansing away the cold bitterness of winter and welcoming in that new life. So feeling renewed, that those metamorphoses that are happening, this butterfly here, I love that coming out of its cocoon. Even though it's getting wet a little bit, sometimes that's just going to happen. They know that they're still changed for the better. So find that cleansing. I think this is part of that, nourishment that is happening here. Let's see what else we have. We have ocean tides. This same exact message. You're literally getting the repeat messages in these different clusters. So here we have the Queen of the Moon, which is about being sovereign, finding that sovereignty. And then here it's individuality, strength, formlessness, like this dust devil here, going with that flow while also remaining, finding your individuality, finding your peace, finding yourself, finding that grace within yourself. I just love this. This is, as a shadow message, this is more so just reinforcing the things that we've already discussed. It's not much of a shadow message in any more than anything else has been, I think this is probably, this goes into everything else. So this is Snow Moon. This is rest, recovery, planning. This goes, while this mentions planning, I don't think that doesn't stand out to me as much as everything else. Rest and recovery are more so the things that you want to go for. And that goes back to this patience card where they're talking about being patient. So this is where you can take the time to just rejuvenate in whatever way you need to while still remaining active. So you can actively do things that refresh you, make you feel renewed, make you feel like you are recovering from, I think really it is going to be recovering from feeling stagnant and really just like settled as you were previously. So here are the tarot cards. We have 2 sets of 3. So your first one is Death. We have 4 of Wands in reverse. And then we have the World in reverse. So this is interesting. So this Death card 100% matches this spring rain. This is about transition, transformation, you know, rejuvenating and renewing yourself. But then we have the, what did I say this was? Four of Wands in reverse. And this is interesting because this card is saying, you know, this is still a card of transformation, but it's a little more negative than everything else has been. So I feel like this card specifically is saying to transform those negative things that have been happening in your life. Let go of the tensions, let go of anything that was making you feel in like you just had nothing but instability in your life. I think this is part of this message of rising above the fray in order to find peace kind of thing. Because if you don't, you won't feel like you've accomplished the things that you want to accomplish. The world in reverse is really just saying, you know, you're feeling incomplete. You won't get that closure that you need. So I think that you really need to transition out of that. Start to find ways to rise above these things that have obviously had you starting out in this very stagnant position, because for 2023 it's going to be all about movement and energy and activity. So this is really just like, this felt more of a shadow message than your actual shadow message. Here we have, oh my gosh, you got the Death card again. Okay, we have the Five of Wands and no. So if you had any question in your mind, I left the yes and no cards in this deck, you know, because sometimes I feel like as I talk through things, people start to question stuff. So whatever you're questioning, the answer is no. Looking at this though, I already told you about this Death card, and you can see the motifs here between these cards. So you more or less got the Death card twice, but the concept of the Death card 3 times. So this year, your theme is peace and transformation. So you're transforming, your journey itself is about transforming yourself in order to find peace. And I think that if we're continuing this as being part of your shadow message, this is about, you know, this very much correlates back to the eye of the eagle, rising above the fray. You know, don't, make sure you pick your battles. Again, I'm just going to say it like that because the Five of Wands is about external conflict. So these are things externally that you don't want to basically accept into yourself, and it risks your sovereignty and your peace. So this is also where grace comes into play. So you need to find grace with these moments and in these moments and how you handle these moments. So even if you don't handle it the way that you are wanting to, be graceful with yourself. It's a journey. It's a learning journey. And as you do, you just learn how to manage these things, you know, as you've gone about it. So if you'll have to let me know, guys, what this no corresponded to for you guys. And if you enjoyed this message, give me a like, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you would like a more in-depth reading for your 111 message, go ahead and check out the other lovelies in the collab. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching Pile 3, and I will catch you later. Bye.